ONEHR. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Victoria Brown. If you've not tuned in before, I own several businesses, two of which are in HR, so hopefully that makes me a little bit of a HR expert. I am going to stick to the theme around employing people today, so if you've got staff or you're thinking of taking on staff, then this is absolutely the session for you. This session is going to be about probation periods. So what is a probation period? Well, if you've listened to my other video, I will have told you all about how to recruit. So once you've recruited, you have the person's accepted the role. They are about to start within position. Within the contract, one of the clauses will talk about probation period, or it certainly should talk about probation period. And what you need to do is make a decision on how long that period of time is going to be. And that time is for you to assess whether this person is right for this role. And at the end of that probation period, you make a decision whether you are to confirm them in post, to extend the probation period, or to not confirm them in post. So it is really important to give some consideration for how long. And I'll be totally honest with you now, I do run a HR consultancy, and lots of clients I will push back on this exact point. So they may have a 3-month probation period. I don't actually believe that a 3-month period is long enough. I don't think 3 months gives you enough time to assess if somebody is right for the role. So personally, you don't have to take my advice on this, I think 6 months is ideal. It gives you enough time to be able to look to see if they are actually right for the role. Gives them enough time, gives them obviously that ability to sort of meet the standards of the organisation. And if needs be, you can extend that period of time. So you've made your decision now. You've decided on the period of time that you are going to have as a probation. It's important that that is in the contract of employment. And don't forget, you must issue that contract of employment on day one that they enter your business. So you've set it and say you've decided it's going to be 6 months period of time. What is really important is that you do not set this person up to fail. We've talked about this in the previous video. You've spent a lot of time on that recruitment process. You know that you've found your 1%er, you've found that talent for your business. You do not want this to fail, not at this sort of final hurdle. So this is a two-way process. This is not just their probation period, it's also your probation period. They're assessing within this time whether they're going to stay in your organisation. And I think last time you'll recall I did talk some shocking figures here, sort of up to 70% of people may leave your business within that first year. So let's not let this person be that part of that 70%. So you will recall that I have talked before about that job advert. So I talked about nailing that job advert, making sure that it's very powerful, very attractive. And obviously that job advert links to the job description. So when you will have interviewed these people, you will have already sent them, or you should have already sent them, the job description, which clearly identifies what the roles and responsibilities are. And don't worry, I'll do a whole session on job description for you in a couple of weeks' time. So just to go through exactly what should be within that job description. But in a nutshell for this session, so I do keep to under 10 minutes for you, it's just about clearly defining the roles and responsibilities. Because if that person doesn't understand the roles and responsibilities, then you've set them up to fail. So how often should you check in with this person, or should your manager check in with this person? Well, I can't emphasise enough the importance of making sure that you do not set this person up to fail. So we've talked about now making sure you've got clearly defined job description. So from day one or before day one in that onboarding process I've talked to you about, they know, they're clear on that job description. They've got it in front of them or on a piece of software, for example, like ONEHR, they've got it on your HR information system. They're very clear on what that should be. The clearly defined goals and expectations have been set for them for that 6-month period of time. And through your onboarding process, you've given them the tools that they need to perform the job. And you've also equipped them with the right knowledge, and they understand the people, and they've met the right stakeholders in the business to know who to ask for help and when. So you've done all of that. Congratulations, well done. The next part now is just to make sure that you do check in with that person. And if it's not you, then obviously that your managers check in with that person. Now, my recommendation here, and what I ask my managers to do, is to have monthly, we call them KIT meetings. So we call them the keep in touch meetings. Other businesses call them one-to-ones. Whatever it is you want to call them, really doesn't matter. Just have those monthly meetings. So what does happen in these monthly meetings? Well, this is, again, as I mentioned before, it's a two-way process. So the idea being that you're checking in with that member of staff, seeing how they're getting on. Do they need your support? How are they doing against the job description? Is there anything within the job description or with some of the key performance indicators that you've set them that they are really way off? Do they need any support? Do they need any further development? Do they need to go any courses? Do they need to be mentored by anybody? This is the opportunity. You're checking in with that person. Now, personally, I like to keep this slightly informal, these monthly KIT meetings. I do hold a record of them, and I do actually store them on our HR software, which is ONEHR. So I do make sure that there is a record of that meeting and identifies any support that I need to give to that person, and also recognise when they're doing really well. You know, we all like praise. We all like to be told that we are doing a good job. So it is important that we do that, and we do deliver that positivity in this meeting. I would, however, recommend that you do have 2 formal meetings. One is halfway through the probation period, so that would be at the 3-month stage. So this is a mid-review. This is when you're having a conversation with that person and you're flagging maybe any areas of weakness and things that need to be improved, sharpish, for you to make your decision at 6 months. Or equally, just bear in mind that sometimes, and I've had this in my business, people can be extremely nervous about their probation period. They're worried that they're not going to be confirmed in post. Some people are not bothered by it. They don't even remember the date. Others will know exactly what date that's going to be. So sometimes it's important to reassure people, to give them praise, to let them know they're doing a great job, if they are doing a great job, at that midway point. And I would actually document that. So we do use sort of a template for this. We document that meeting. We give the opportunity for the employee to make some comments in there as well. And then we store that on ONEHR. And that's our record of that 3-month formal review. Okay, so let's talk final probation meeting. So I've gone on the basis throughout this that we have decided to do a 6-month probation period. So we're at the end of the 6 months and you're going to have a meeting. And there's 3 things that can happen in this meeting. The first one is that everything went fantastic. You confirm that person in post. Amazing, well done. Well done to you and well done to them. Put that in writing to confirm that they have been confirmed in position. And normally the way a contract tends to be written is that the notice period will change at this point in time. So to give you an example, in my business, if somebody's in probation, then they have a week's notice. If then they are confirmed in post, then they'll either, the notice period will change to 1 month or 3 months, depending on their seniority within the business. So you put that in writing, job done. And then what I would then suggest is actually you do switch to performance reviews, and I will do a separate session on exactly how you do that and how you make sure you manage that person's expectations, goals, etc. Because it's certainly not over at this point in time. The second option that you've got is you may get to 6 months and think, do you know what? I'm still not quite sure. And that's okay if you feel like that. As long as you can justify why, And there could be several reasons. You could be honest and look in your mirror, like I always say, and go, do you know, I've not given them the training I promised them. They've not been able to shadow that person. I haven't given them the right tools to do that. Only you will know this, or your manager will know, actually, have they been given a fair shot at the role. Other times it can just be that they haven't quite grasped it yet, but you really do believe they can. The last 18 months has been a great example. There's been some roles where people actually have not been able to perform their role because of us being in a lockdown. You know, how can salespeople have not been able to perform in the way maybe they once did if they've been unable to visit offices and meet people face to face? So you've got to consider external factors as well. And if that's the situation, then you have got the option to extend the period. Now, I wouldn't extend the period for a massive amount of time. I don't think, longer than a year is a bit ridiculous. You need to make that call early on in this relationship. So I personally would only ever recommend to extend no more than 9 months. You should be able to make that decision within 9 months whether this person is right for your role. And the final option, which is obviously not the nicest of options, but is to not confirm somebody in post. Now, this is a courageous decision for somebody to make. It's a difficult decision to make. And believe you me, when I've had to terminate people's contracts, I have never, ever enjoyed that meeting at all. But sometimes, for the sake of your business, you have to make very tough decisions. And again, I can't stress enough the importance of making this decision. If you know that person is not right for your business for whatever reason it is, and obviously it has to be a justifiable, fair reason. So if you're ever unsure, please do feel that you can reach out to me. You can absolutely reach out to me. I've given you my contact details before. I'm always happy to help if you're unsure of a situation that you're in. But if you don't make this decision now, it could end up biting you on the bum later on. And I've seen that happen to so many clients. And when we've actually drilled down on the problem, they've just avoided this situation. They've maybe forgot to have a probation period. They've avoided the probation period, and they've kind of got to 2 years without realising, and then decided this person's just not right for this role. And it's not as easy to terminate somebody's employment once they've got that those employment rights. So it is important at 6 months, or at 9 if you extend, just to make that call and make that decision. So if you decide that you are not going to confirm somebody in post, what I would always advise, now whilst you can never preempt a decision before you go into a meeting, because you don't know what defence somebody is going to come up with, you don't know the reasons why potentially they've not performed. But if you have, you think from the evidence that you've got that there may be a likelihood that you're not going to confirm this person in post, then my recommendation, and this is just best practice, I always think, if people say to me, what can I legally do? What's important to me is what sort of employer do you want to be? And I want to be a good employer. I want to be a fair and ethical employer. So for me, it's important to be very open. So I will always send a letter out and invite that person to that, what we call the final probation meeting. And I will give them the right to bring someone into that room with them. That can either be a trade union representative or a work colleague. I won't let them bring anyone else outside of the organisation into the business, but they get that right to representation. And I do have a line within that letter that does let them know that a decision may be made about their employment. So, this person is aware of the meeting that they are about to enter into. You obviously will hold the meeting. You will consider what they put forward to you. They may have some reasons why they've not performed the way you expected them to. And then I would suggest that you actually adjourn that meeting, give it some thought, and then go back into that meeting, reconvene, go back into that meeting and deliver your decision. And if your decision is that you are going to terminate this person's employment, then it is important that you then do put that in writing. So again, you put it in writing that you've terminated their employment. And I would always, again, and this is just best practice, and this again is my opinion, but I would offer them the right to appeal. I just think that it's a fair process. You've got nothing to lose there, and it just gives you've followed a process right through to the end. And if there is anything that comes out of the woodwork, if someone feels that maybe they've been discriminated against in any way, then you will deal with that through that process then. And again, I don't like to scaremonger, but it just helps to reduce that risk of an employment tribunal. So the final point for this session is just to make sure that you do track and you do record your probation period. So when it's a small business, you may remember the periods of time. If I'm honest with you, I didn't. I used to have to put it on Outlook. Then as we got a bit bigger, I had an Excel spreadsheet. And then obviously when you have managers and you delegate some of this responsibility to managers, you are relying on them to conduct the probation period. So you can tell from the session today how important this is. It's really important. It could be very costly if you get this wrong. So this is one of the reasons why we actually developed a piece of HR software. I think you've heard me talk about it before. It's ONEHR. So I am really proud of what we developed. I'm very passionate about it. This is one of the reasons why I developed it, because it was a headache in my business. So I am going to offer for all subscribers, you can have it for free for 3 months, because I really do believe that you will love it. I'll even throw in some templates there for you for probation period, so you can absolutely nail this probation period. The one thing I would ask is that you do subscribe to YouTube for it. So you'll see the detail now. I just need you to subscribe to my channel. You then just need to follow the link, pop your details in, and you'll be sent logins, and you can use this for 3 months for free, just to track your probations and get access to those templates. So I hope you've enjoyed the session today. If you've got any questions, please do pop them in the comments, or you have my other details are on screen again now. Feel free to message me at any time. I'm always happy to help. We've all been on this journey, so let's help each other. Thank you, and I'll see you next week.